Claybourne Elder can be seen on HBO series The Gilded Age. Theater fans also know him from Broadway shows like the Tony Award-winning revival of Company. Claybourne Elder coming to the Big Gay Cabaret at Venus Cabaret October 18th through the 20th. Claybourne, thank you so much for your time today.
Of course, it's a pleasure to join you.
We're so excited that you're coming to Chicago. I mean, obviously, people associate you with New York and maybe the 1800s. But talk a little bit about your connection to Chicago. Do you have a lot of friends here? Is it going to be your first time?
Yeah, my husband started the About Face Theater in Chicago when he was a student at Northwestern, and he was there for about 15 years. So we have a lot of friends in Chicago, which is really fun. And I have a lot of theater community friends from there as well. So I'm really excited to come out. It's my first time performing there.
So it's a wonderful time. The weather's so great. I always tell people if you're going to come spend time in Chicago, not in the winter, but this October's a perfect month.
Perfect.
The announcement, obviously, for season number 3 of the Gilded Age just came out. People are excited. You're going to be part of season number 3?
Yes, I am. I'm so excited. We are having a blast being all back together again. It was a long break because of the strikes. And so it is so nice to be back with everybody again.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful that John Adams is coming back, and obviously, I'm sure every time you get stopped, as far as like fans want to know, that's a hard thing. You get a show that you get invested in, and then you're like, I need to know what happens. You can't leave me on these cliffhangers.
And it's funny, like as the seasons have gone on, it gets harder and harder because people are getting more and more wrapped up in it. It gets harder and harder for me to keep it a secret. But I keep it a secret.
Yeah, we all would be surprised to be, when that first episode comes out, and it's supposed to be early next year, right? Or sometime next year.
Sometime next year,
Sometime next year. Let's talk a little bit about the show, some of the songs that you're putting in there, some of the stories. I mean, tell them a little bit about the creation of this cabaret show that you're bringing to Chicago.
Yeah, it's kind of like half a stand-up show and half a cabaret. It's got more talking than a cabaret and more singing than a stand-up show. So it's a combination of two things that I do that I love. And I started this show. I started it about a year and a half ago, writing it and working on it and performing it. And I sort of thought that I would, just do it a couple of times. And word got out about it, and I've get picked up by more and more places. And now I'm booked through February of 25 on this show. And it's sort of, it's not just autobiographical in the sense of a stand-up show. It's thematic in that I'm talking about things, but I'm talking about general stories and stories about my life and stories about working on Broadway. But it's sort of about, the nature of goodness. I was raised Mormon, and so a lot of, the stories I tell have to do with Mormonism and coming out and things like that. So that's sort of what it's about.
Yeah, I'm sure people want to know, about your Mormonism. They probably have a thousand Patti LuPone questions. They want to know.
Yes, I talk about Patti. I do.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about that experience. I mean, obviously, the show started in the West End. At what point did you know you could audition, that you were going to be a part of it, and just kind of that excitement at the beginning of that?
They when they first held auditions for the U.S. production, they only brought people in for Bobby, and for Matt Doyle's role, Jamie, and everybody who was coming in just auditioned for those 2 roles, and so I auditioned, and I was sitting in the waiting room filled with some very, very famous people who were auditioning for those 2 roles. I was like, wow, this is going to be a huge production. But I had been eyeing the flight attendant role just because there just aren't roles written like that for men. And it was so fun to sink my teeth into. And little did I know, I went in and sang that, for Jamie. And when I left, they were like, oh, he should play Andy. And then basically 3 months later, they called me and they're like, would you want to play Andy? And so it was amazing. I loved the cast. I still love the cast. We're still close. It was a really wonderful experience.
Did you get a chance to go to London to see it before? No.
I didn't. And, I usually go, I had been going to London about once a year to see theater, and I was going to go, and I just didn't end up doing it. And I'm really glad I didn't. So that I didn't have anything in my head about it before I did it myself.
And that's one of those shows that so many people were so excited about, and especially, with City of Strangers, and, talk a little bit about that for people who are unfamiliar, but I'm sure that's one of those stories, one of those experiences that this is something that you talk about, for years and decades to come.
Yeah, I tell this story in depth in my show, but basically I experienced this random act of kindness when I was in college from someone, and that person who was totally anonymous to me came back into my life 15 years later while I was working on Company. And it was this crazy experience. And based on what had happened, I started a nonprofit called the City of Strangers. And we help people come to see Broadway shows who can't otherwise afford to be there. So we partner with a lot of community organizations to get teachers in. We work with kids in the foster care program. We work with an organization that has homeless youth. All sorts of people to come and see Broadway shows, either for the first time or just because they really want to and they can't afford it.
Yeah, no, that is so wonderful, and that also shows just there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, but putting out that goodness into the world, you see how that has an impact of those things that you remember, and then how people pay it forward, in their lives.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, an interesting thing, obviously, unrelated, but when Hamilton first came to Chicago, we were the first city outside of New York, and they teamed up with a lot of the public schools here in Chicago who normally wouldn't be able to go and see the show to be able to go see it. I believe it was for free, but just incredible. To have that experience, something they'll remember for a lifetime.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, that's incredible.
You're a dad. I'm a dad.
Oh, yeah?
My daughter's a little bit younger than your son, but, tell me a little bit about that, because I love, parenthood is just the best. That's all I have to say.
It is the best. It is totally the best and the hardest thing in the world, and I love it. My son is 7. He just started 2nd grade, and he's the best. Yeah, I do. I talk about kind of my journey to parenthood as well with me and my husband in 2017, and he's the best. It's funny. I have a lot of gay friends who are like, I could never have kids. I'm too selfish. And I'm like, by all means, I do not think everyone should have children. If you want to do it, it's amazing, but not everybody should. I'm not, but it's the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, I know. It's a personal choice. And, I have friends who do and friends who don't. I think for me, it being a little later in life, I think helped. I don't know how I would have handled that in my 20s or early 30s.
Yeah. Oh my God, no. Very hard. Although I also know lots of people who are wonderful parents who had kids when they were 22. In fact, almost everyone I went to high school with, because I was raised Mormon, have 7 kids now who are graduating from high school, which is terrifying to me.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the songs. Some Sondheim, some Company. What are we going to get in there?
Yes, definitely a lot of Sondheim. A lot of my career has been working on Stephen Sondheim shows, and so there'll definitely be some Sondheim. There's some pop songs. I sing a lullaby that I sing to my son every night. It's a really wide spectrum of things and a lot of reimagined versions of songs.
Yeah.
So songs done in ways you might not think of them. And I developed the show with my partner on stage, Rodney Bush, who is my music director and also one of my best friends. And so building the show with him, it was such a joy. And he travels with me everywhere I go, because I just kind of couldn't do it without him. At the piano with me.
I want to dance with somebody. I've heard you on social media. Could that be a song that we might see it in Chicago?
Yes, yeah, I'm definitely going to sing that. Definitely going to do that one.
The thing too that I love about that song is that I remember liking it, when it first came out, and then just kind of enjoying it over the years. But it feels like that's one of those songs that defines the era, and I feel like it's just gotten bigger and bigger, and it means more to people as time goes on.
Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite songs, definitely of all time. And I remember being a kid and dancing around my kitchen singing it. So for me, it has held many places in my life over the decades, for sure.
And then final thing, Big Gay Cabaret brought to us by Ginger Minge. Are you friends with Ginger? How did this come about as far as you come to Chicago?
Yeah, we met last year in Provincetown because we both had a show at the Art House. So we shared one after another. So we were sharing a dressing room was the first time we met. And when they were starting this, last year, they reached out to me and said, "Are you touring around your show still? And would you like to come?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm dying to come to Chicago. Thank you for having me." And they have an amazing season lined up. So it's been very exciting to see them grow this thing, and I'm excited to be out there.
Awesome. Well, we cannot wait to see you in Chicago, October 18th through the 20th. Big Gay Cabaret at Venus Cabaret Theater. BigGayCabaret.com for those tickets, and we will see you in Chicago very, very soon.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.